Oh, yeah! Happy Comic Book Day, and thank you to Bad Mary for that too sweet play-in. Welcome all you four-color funny book aficionados. This is US Comics Cast, Chapter 2, Episode 19, two topics, 60 minutes for the people. I'm John Rivera, the CEO and co-founder of US Comics.
And I am Charlie Rivera, the COO of US Comics, the other co-founder, the other co-host, and your hybrid panda.
Oh, merchandising.
You should see the toilet paper I ordered. It's excellent. How you
Gross.
doing, my dear brother?
You know what, Charlie? I hate to come in hot.
Oh, boy.
But sometimes you gotta do it. Look, over a spilled plate of Uncle Ben's rice, Peter Parker himself acknowledged with great power comes what?
Great responsibility.
And look, this show is seen by literally tens of people every week. And I consider that to be a great responsibility. I do not take my words lightly. When I put something out into the ether, it's important to me that what I'm putting out is of quality. Now, weeks and weeks and weeks, you and I both have put out there to those good people who give us their time, who give us their attention. We said, hey, folks, this awesome comic book is being adapted into what looks like to me, because they were coming with straight fire Comic-Con level costumes, that this was going to be maybe the next big thing, the next big superhero property to hit Netflix. And I'm talking about none other than Jupiter's damn Legacy. So I got to ask you, have you watched the entirety of it?
I watched it in like 1.5 sittings. I tuned in. I was days late. And I said, I got to catch up on my homework because I can't let a property I love in physical form.
Yes.
I can't let it pass without me at least giving it its due time.
Look, again, it's a responsibility. It's like one of those things that they say, don't trust a skinny chef, because a good chef is tasting everything. So how are we going to put out there, check this out, and then don't indeed check it out
just avoid
ourselves.
Be like, check this out and tell us if it's any good.
Look, I'm going to give the good folks a peek behind the curtain of Charlie, because Charlie is such a swinger on the schrots of Kevin Smith that he would live for the opportunity to be like, hey, read this comic. It's the best, the art, the story, this, and the other thing. Did you like it? No, I don't read comics. Charlie lives for those moments. Just those random isms that get thrown around right and left. But that being said, Charlie, you've seen all 8 installments. Yeah,
it's true. Yes, sir.
As have I, and I will admit this, I intend to go back and rewatch the 8 to see if my professional, if nothing else, my professional opinion is affected. But Charlie, let's do it, because we haven't talked about this off screen. We make that promise to the consumer, to you folks. Charlie, let's do it Caesar style. Put the thumb out, straight out, horizontal like. And do we let Spartacus live or die? Charlie, on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
I give it a resounding thumbs up from the way you asked days ago. You asked, did you watch Jupiter's Legacy? And it was like, did you watch Jupiter's Legacy? I knew
it was
from the intonation of your text.
There's no way.
It went big little letters like you were telling it to go kick rocks. I got to tell you, I'm shocked. And you're not alone. For me, it gave me exactly what I wanted, except there was one giant elephant in the room for me.
The giant elephant you're talking about?
It was the physical
I was
giant
surprised.
Elephant.
I'm like, first of all, it's supposed to be a woolly mammoth. What's this elephant doing? I understand they're out of work, the circuses
Yeah,
are not allowing them,
is it a
which I
hybrid
agree
elephant?
with.
I'll deal with that. That's
You're like,
obviously
are
my
we
people.
related?
For me, what I loved about it was I felt like they kept all the core ideas. To me, it looked for the most part very good. I love the choice of a lot of practical effects. But you know what my biggest problem was?
Well, no, hold on a second. You're not
Okay.
allowed to go plus and negative because
My bad.
you are clearly on the positive.
I am. Very big thumbs up from me.
All right. So your hands aren't that big, so it's not that big of a thumbs up.
No, I got a foam hand in the back.
I have to give it, for me, a resounding thumbs down. And
I'm
once again, we
shocked.
don't get into the game. We don't get into the politics of like, oh, this was great, this was bad.
Yeah, it's
the
liked
entertainment,
or
but
disliked,
it is
yeah.
what it is. It is what it is, right? Either you liked it, you didn't like it, or you were nonplussed. I didn't like it, and you know what's funny? We just literally just wrapped up our last episode with Casey. You can listen to that episode 18. It's right now streaming live everywhere, so you can listen to streams. But Casey and I had a little tete-a-tete on this particular subject because I couldn't hold it in this long.
Casey hated it.
No, hold on a second. Actually, you know what's funny? I didn't get that far. I was venting so much about what I thought. At no point did I stop like, hey Casey, what did you think? Like, he's 2 feet taller than me. Like, it takes a long time for the news to get up there.
It was 4 in the morning. You woke him up, just shaking him.
But if I had to put good, hard-earned money down and bet on whether you liked it or not, I absolutely would have bet in the positive. Because in my opinion,
you think I'm dumb. Cool.
Not at all. My opinion was that this, and just for so the folks listening, obviously you have one of each opinion, but for me it fell somewhere between Lovecraft Country and Smallville. Right,
Yeah.
like you make that the needle swinging.
Oh God, you're right.
There it was. It was smack dab in the middle. Now, Casey and I have had separate conversations, off-air conversations regarding some of the ongoings over at Marvel. Casey and I double checked with him that I could go ahead and spew his opinion because I'm in agreement with it. But that the more recent Marvel installments were taking like bigger swings of the bat. Right, they were like having an opinion. They were making a statement. It wasn't just like black hat versus white hat, where it's obvious who you're rooting for. They put out content most recently, especially on TV, on Disney Plus, that were shades of gray that people could potentially and we did it, right? We did it like, oh, soon to be U.S. agent, was he right or wrong to do what he did? Blah 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 blah. So a lot of the earlier installments didn't really go up with that. Hey, what's up, James? So that was kind of the feeling that I get. It was such an intentional wedge being thrown at the viewers, like, haha, this is what we're going to do. And I want to be very, very clear before we delve into any of the specifics. I love the comic, and I said as much here. Mark Miller, in my opinion, can do nothing wrong. He's a fantastic writer. You can give him any junk and he's going to spit out a good story using those ingredients. And here he's making up his own ingredients and telling you the stories that he wants to tell you. And it's a dynamite story. I'm not sure how we want to handle spoilers with this. I'll leave it to you.
I think we throw up the spoiler warning.
Part
of the joy of Netflix is they're not deviating. Netflix says we give you the whole pie. We trust you not to overeat, and they know we're going to overeat.
But here's the thing, and Netflix, they got one on me because I feel like I'm pretty positive because I know myself. If this had been a situation like a Disney Plus situation, or even like an Amazon where they throw out 3 and then you got to come back for more, I don't think I'm coming back to the table for more installments, especially. And I will give them this, in my opinion, for me, I did enjoy it, for lack of a better term, more the more that the season went on, and it's only 8 episodes.
As a
The
first
latter
movie of a
episodes,
series, you didn't hate yourself for watching it?
the latter episodes I dislike less than the first episodes. That's as positive as I can
So
spin
it's
it.
the
I
opposite of
was
Smallville.
so disappointed. I really was.
That's interesting. And listen, as always, to kind of double down on what you said, everyone is of course entitled to their own opinion. The only thing I usually ask
No, they're
of
not.
it
No, they're not.
is that's true. They have
Only
to
if they
rent that.
agree with me.
My issue tends to come from when their place of I dislike it. You're eating breakfast and you dislike it because it's not dinner is like a little bit insane to me. Be like, I ate some sand and it wasn't hydrating at all. Be like, well, no shit, it's sand. I will say this, and I do think this is the biggest thing about Jupiter's Legacy, that the show inherently has a huge disadvantage that something like The Boys or Invincible or even itself in comic book form didn't have.
What's
and
that?
that's the world surrounding it. A big
What
point
do you
of
mean?
Jupiter's Legacy, I'll elaborate. One of the biggest points, other than plenty of daddy issues in Jupiter's Legacy, is the notion of a superhero code. Very, very specifically, should and can heroes kill and still be heroes? With the comic books, when this book came out, that was still a subject that by and large, most heroes, even to this day, don't kill in the pages of a comic book.
Oh, I
Now,
disagree. What are you talking
in the
about?
world of
You read more comic books than literally anybody I know.
Sure, Superman's not snapping necks anywhere but the movies.
I'm saying, but like, so
This is my point. 'Cause I didn't
Superman you
actually
put
make-
on a shelf, but
I
like the
didn't
rest
make-
of the roster
Aquaman doesn't go around killing people
can't kill.
regularly.
You can't snap jellyfish necks, bro.
That's
like
you.
he's like,
First of all, how dare you tell Arthur what he can and cannot do? Sometimes he has a handicap. He has a water hook. My point is, if you are going into this, the most popular thing right now in movies are the Marvel films. And in Marvel, none of them have an issue with killing. Captain America kills willy-nilly. Now in Captain America and the Winter
he's a
Soldier,
soldier
the
or something.
series, they make a very big deal. Falcon doesn't kill anyone in those last couple episodes. People die around him. It's
Right.
kind of that catch.
yeah,
22.
people kind of die as a side effect
Literally
of their
around
action.
him. Yeah.
Yeah, he
But-
as opposed to he like goes out of his way and blueprints out of death.
But the Avengers in the
Yeah.
cinematic world, they're murderers. They have a high ass
Yeah, their
body
death
count
count.
on purpose and not on purpose. So my point is this: Jupiter's Legacy having a character that's, yes, it's a stand-in for Superman and by an extension Santa Claus and Jesus. This character being like, no, you can't kill. For a bulk some of the audience, not you, but for a lot of people watching it, that's not a conversation that they even think needs to be had, because
Yeah.
they're like, the ends justify the means. So the comic book had lived when that comic came out. The world was more suited for that debate. Right
Yeah,
now,
I
in
disagree
movies
with
and
you.
TV,
If
people
nothing
get killed
else,
left and right.
if nothing else, that was already the trajectory. Like they weren't coming from a place where Punisher books weren't on the shelf or anything like that. And truth be told, and I do understand that that's kind of like an easy coin flip, where person on the street, do you think superheroes should kill? Yes or no? Like that's not unheard of conversation, and you know that you're gonna get some deviation of opinion. And I don't want to totally doodle on it, right? Because like some of the other adaptations that we've spoken about, there were absolute improvements. There were improvements. I mean, there were characters, particularly female characters, that were more fleshed out, right? You have subplots that don't exist. It kind of moved. It did move slowly by comparison to the comic book arc. So I do understand, like, you really only signed two names. Like, looking at it as a business, you really only signed two big names in your cast. You have to carry them along. And I want to be very careful about spoilers, but let's just say that if this was an 8-issue comic, certain characters would not have made it to episode 8. They wouldn't have made it to episode 4 if we're speaking frankly.
Yeah.
And also like the way that they painted certain characters, I'm like, is this a slow burn? Because again, when the iceberg is coming, and and Jack is on the front, and he's doing the King of the World, like I know that the Titanic is gonna sink, but it doesn't throw you off of like being caught up in the story. Whereas here, I'm like, yeah, but this has to happen and this has to happen, and I'm trying to do the math. But all that aside, if we are talking about the scale of Smallville to Lovecraft Country, like I've got something to say, but also as well as the fucking dialogue is terrible.
Somebody
the dialogue
save!
It makes the prequels of
How
Star
dare
Wars
you?
look like fucking Shakespeare. It is so bad. The dialogue is the pits, in my professional humble opinion. And it took me out of it. That was the point that I wanted to make ultimately, is that I can live with, obviously with Star Wars, I can live with bad dialogue. Right? Not everything is going to be a Kevin Smith masterpiece of conversation.
As your Han Solo collection proves.
Yeah, exactly right. But when the dialogue is so pitifully bad, and also if it was just universally bad, at least you're like, well, okay, this is clearly junk food. I'm going to take out of it what I can take out of it. It was also uneven, because as it was like bad, dumb comment, bad pacing, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, like something genius would pop out of somebody's mouth. Look at Leslie Bibb. What did you just say? By the way, talk about a woman who looks good as a blonde with white hair. She could be 120 years old. Oh, Leslie Bibb, climb that ladder.
Leslie Bibb really does run the gamut for, not to be crass, but the boner rankings from episode to episode.
Oh,
when she's in her like that outfit and that hair.
There, huh?
Yeah, fuck it. Why not? No,
not to be crass, but
the most crass shit. You know what it comes down to as well for me is it was also kind of refreshing, and this is unfair. This is a personal bias on my point, but for me, it's refreshing getting one of these series on Netflix, because Netflix is notorious for not interfering. They get pitched and they let people run with the ball. So it's like, it's absolutely possible. To fall a lot. And I don't think it's perfect. I tend to always, and this is boring because I've said it before.
Yeah.
But I tend to look at all of this stuff.
It's fine.
I tend to attack all of this stuff from an emotional level. How does it make me feel? That's why I say I love things a lot, because there's the obvious flaws. I will never disagree with you about the dialogue being wildly uneven.
Terrible.
And
the
sometimes
effects are
it's
bad.
like, dude,
the effects are bad.
The gamut,
it looks
the gamut
to me
that
like
those effects run, because some of the effects are beautiful.
But it's not our job to be like, oh, I wonder which production house did this effect, which production house did
I agree, but we're talking
getting punched in the face and turned into jelly pudding,
disliking, loving, hating.
But I also, especially in a circumstance where I'm coming from, where I talk this up, like I feel personally responsible.
You felt like
somebody sat down with the remote, like, John said that this is going to be pretty good over there on the USComicsCAST. I'll go ahead and watch it. And then like 4 hours in, they were cursing my fucking name. Like my ear was ringing. I felt the heat on my neck. So I do want to say,
I have none of that pressure.
I didn't enjoy it, but here are the reasons why. The dialogue was pitiable. The changes that they made, at least at this stage in the game, I don't necessarily see why they were particularly made, except if you just want to say, well, I want to go, yeah, James, definitely watch it because I want you people to agree with me and not Charlie. So they brought on Josh Duhamel, if I'm pronouncing that name.
I think so.
Leslie Bibb, and then otherwise just 25 other people who have like nothing on their IMDb.
Yeah, it's like literally then it becomes like I vaguely remember that person.
And even so,
talented.
like having done local and community and regional theater, like that there's there's a gamut. It's like playing pickup softball, right? You get out there. Some people can stick it. Some people can throw. Some people got to stick up at the plate, and some people are like the Venus de Milo, standing at shortstop, just balls flying past them, just like Charlie on a Thursday night. It's just terrible, uneven. Didn't love the effects. I didn't love. I hated the majority of the dialogue. It was just, again, nonsensical changes. The fuck is there a clone of Black Star for? Like, what are you doing? And especially for that particular moment, spoiler safety, is reserved for something else. What are you doing? What are you doing?
It comes down to I want more. Are you willing to say, like, you're out now? Try again in 10 years.
I'm gonna keep on watching it because this is like
You're a glutton.
This is my illegitimate baby that I didn't intend to have. It was a crazy night. But then you know what? I gotta see this thing through at least till college. I gotta do the right thing. I gotta at least get it to college.
You know what my problem is my entire life. Also, that my entire life is built around dread. So, like, Invincible, this thing I'm holding up on a mantle of, like, step aside, Batman the Animated Series. There's a new king on the throne of animated superhero shit. However, now I'm petrified season 2 is gonna suck because it's like. Because of the way Game of Thrones ended. I'm like, I'm a victim of abuse. Now with Jupiter's Legacy, part of the reason I'm going to be able to kick back with a beer and some popcorn for season 2 is I'm like, can only fucking get better, am I right? Like, unless it's sock puppets.
But even you admit it, that, like, it's
100%. I love you and you're flawed.
So how very dare you? So, like, would you say that you enjoy it the way that you enjoy bad pizza? Like, people said, like, even bad pizza is like edible. You can eat it.
I wouldn't say it's like that. I would say it is the Domino's of pizza. Like, you're buying Domino's.
See,
you're
but
not
some
buying
people
real
only
pizza.
have had Domino's. So for people who, like, their only superhero storytelling experience is this, I feel so bad for them. And
it's
you know what?
Netflix, Fantastic Four.
Hold on. Netflix is in a precarious place. And to answer James' question, James, this compares to The Boys like a jelly bean that had rolled under your car from
How
Easter.
Dare you?
But this is July. Like, it rolled under their last. There's oil dripping on. Look, I'm trying to answer the man's question. By comparison to The Boys, come on, like, The Boys is a 9, and for me, this was a generous 5.
That's know, my thing is, though, to me, it's an off-balance question of if it's as good as The Boys, because the easy answer is it's not as good as The Boys, but it's also not as pessimistic as The Boys, which was something very difficult in season.
But walking in the door, like, the subject matter,
don't make me walk into doors.
I mean, try to stop you. Am I right? You know, we were actually, again, just to use Casey's name in vain one more time, one last time.
Casey!
Is you know, we were talking about, look, when you have properties that, you know, that don't have like a readily available source material, like, you just go in, you're like, arms behind head. You have no level of expectation except maybe what the trailers instilled in you. But you know what, though? I can't help it. I read a lot, so it's their job to go out and find something that I haven't read or I'm not familiar with. I would say no. It's not even remotely close to The Boys. The Boys is like, far better.
I feel like ultimately, one of the things that also suffers from is how well put together that trailer was. That trailer gave me goosebumps, and I was so excited. It kind of lied to us. So part of me thinks that trailer may have been put together by George Lucas, because it turns out that George Lucas is a liar.
Lucas, you son of a bitch, you're a liar, because the fact is, Han shot first. Clink, clink, baby.
Oh boy, I almost pulled a John. Woo!
Don't make me laugh, you son of a bitch.
It's not my fault. It's not my fault, damn it.
Double gulper every time, and I think it as I'm pouring it. Yeah, again, we have other things to talk about, but anyone who watched it on our recommendation and didn't like it, here's
You're
my
welcome.
my heartfelt apology. Charlie's like, fuck you guys.
Nah, I threw my heart out when Kano tore it out of Reptile. He took a little piece of mine. Another thing I liked
Kano.
despite it being really, really bad.
Oh, Charlie, we gotta raise your level of expectation.
Our comment section is doing amazing as it does this and every week. You can watch the show live on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitch. Make sure you say hi. Make sure you hit share, all that good stuff. But my brother, start my time because I got more stuff that insists upon a spoiler warning.
As long as people have liked, commented, or subscribed at this point, I'll go ahead and press your time now.
So while we're talking about people having very strong opinions one way or another, I want to keep that
Leave me out of it.
I want to keep that train going because a lot of times all of it boils down to expectation. And my dear brother, have you had the opportunity, it's brand new, it's hot off the presses, have you had an opportunity to either play or watch any gameplay from Resident Evil Village?
I've watched gameplay and I have read several things.
That's freaking, I'm glad because I don't need to keep the spoiler warning up. We're going to avoid heavy concepts like that, but I got to enjoy, it's about 11 hours. I was able to enjoy all 11 hours because sleeping is for chumps. Holy crap. What an interesting game. I'll bury the lead that way. I love the Resident Evil franchise.
Yeah, you're a mark.
Run the gamut. Resident Evil for me was brought into my life by you, of all people, when we were younger.
You're welcome.
We had our PlayStation 2, and by we I mean John had his PlayStation 2, or a regular PlayStation maybe, but we were a one console family when you threw in the disc of Resident Evil 2. And my life was forever changed. We watched Leon Kennedy in our playthrough absolutely crush.
Petrified.
Everything that followed it. To paint a beautiful picture, we would turn off all the lights in the basement. We would get right next to each other. John pulled out of the 2-disc CD jewel case the map. And John pretended like I was helping because I didn't realize there was a digital map. And
you were helping because my heartbeat was so far above normal playing that game. That game scared the bejesus out of me. Even just a little door opening.
The atmosphere from Resident Evil 2, it stuck with me forever. And I've played all of the games since to varying enthusiasm. So just overall, what are your feelings on Resident Evil as a property? Obviously you just threw out there that it kind of there's at least part of your brain dedicated to like when the liquors dropped down and everything popped off with Mr. X, but what's the emotion? I needed some liquor after playing Village because I was like, hold me, Jameson. Like my dog was like, what's happening? I'm trying to sleep. I'm like, no, you're not. What are your feelings of Resident Evil as a franchise? What are its highest highs? What do you feel about Rez?
Well, first mostly, I'm a huge zombie genre fan. So right off the bat, like they already have one. Like they've got a toehold on old Johnny Boy over here. But yeah, I particularly really enjoy every Resident Evil game that I've ever played. Some more than others, but that goes without saying. And when you're talking about, like we were just talking about, comparing things to existing intellectual properties, IP, if you're nasty, you really, really can't help doing that when it's a second installment, where it's a third installment, where it's a fucking 14th installment, wherever the hell they are now at this point. Like, you can't help but compare them, and I think rightfully so, against each other. It's when games they don't have like even a trajectory, even if like, well, this is going down, like you just know what to expect. No, like Resident Evil for me, like you know, it was like a Six
Yeah.
Flags roller coaster where I couldn't even say, okay, I'm done buying these games because at least I know now they're pretty much terrible. No, like it was up and down, up and down. They brought back characters like, well, you like this one, you like that one.
Yeah. Are
So it
they a
was
clone? Are
it,
they a serpent person?
oh,
Find out this time on
well,
Resident Evil.
the movies is a whole different fucking animal, literally and figuratively. But I don't know if you want to even get
Well,
to that.
what's
But for
I
me,
do
the it was up and down. But
I
but
do a little bit
on the
because
whole, Preparation H feels good. I mean, on the whole, I do enjoy in general the series, the game series.
I think what's super interesting is the game series was affected by the movie series. They took this horror game, this sneaky tank control, genuinely terrifying game, and they turned it into an action movie
PVE,
franchise.
puzzle solving,
It just
like it was a shooter, like it was a good, like the game hit, the games I should say hit on multiple levels, and then they're like, let's make a movie
yeah,
and let's get
it's just
Charlie's
guns.
favorite girl,
Oh,
and
Milo.
we'll use that umbrella logo, and pretty much that's it. That's we're gonna end it there.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll work one liquor in there just so we can say we did it.
But
Like,
it started as a cat. What's
well,
really
movies,
interesting,
what the hell?
what I and you kind of mentioned it, but to elaborate a bit, it's like the first few games are very, very the same. Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, Code of Veronica X, these games are the same type of game. It's mostly about zombies. There's some crazy monsters. Resident Evil 4 was a beast unto itself, really taking the story forward. Resident Evil 5 is straight up an action game. By the time we get to the not the most recent but the installment before, they switched it to first person and a big push
Yeah.
for VR, and it's back to being terrifying, and you're not a military guy, you're not a cop, you're just some
Well, first
schlub who gets
first
fucked up the whole
person
game.
is like the aside from battle royales, first person in general are like the thing now, right? So
Yeah.
to the point where now like look, you if you want to play a game and you want to play against zombies, there's literally 100 games that you can play. There are fucking games that are out there that have nothing to do with zombies, like, oh, also as well as a zombie mode. You're like, all right, why are you so racist against zombies? What they do to you, man? But that being said, some of the Resident Evil changes that have been made most recently are kind of informing the direction of other horror style games, because
And
that's the thing. These houses, they like I'm talking about the production houses for video games. They very often be, unless they're smart enough to develop an engine that like every other fucking game wants to run off of, and like money, money, money. Um, they end up becoming like, oh well, this is we make this game, and it takes years and years. I totally understand that, but like you once you have something, you sold a couple of discs, you don't give up on that shit, you know. So I give them credit, man. Like when they're coming with they're not just spitting out the
yeah.
same nonsense. At least they're looking for some innovation, and it's gonna keep the fucking roller coaster going
Yeah.
up and down. But you know, it's a small price to pay.
Yeah, well, what's really interesting too, specifically with Resident Evil, is they now have been they've been around long enough that they're getting like third bites at the apple as far as remakes go. The last
Yeah,
3 years, we've had 3 Resident Evil games. We got
right.
another version of Resident Evil
The
2,
remaster.
amazing. We got Resident Evil 3, left something to be desired, and then we got now The Village. And what's awesome about The Village, again, keeping it relatively spoiler free, you know, our comment section's talking about it now, how there's elements that remind them of the first couple games. What's amazing about The Village, it reminds everyone of every one of the games. There are entire sections dedicated to complete horror. I
Yeah.
suddenly was sitting next to you again, shaking, holding my map, not knowing what the hell's going on. There is 45 minutes of the genuine creepiest game I've ever played. It was surreal, and it
Here's my
was
money. Scare the shit out of me.
well, what was amazing was they almost kind of knew, because immediately after that 45 minutes, my heart's racing. I got flop sweats. They're like, here's a fucking Uzi and a tank. Go buck. And I'm like, fuck you, werewolves. Ah! I'm Rambo. Like, I went through the full Rambo gamut. And the main thing I took away, one, I highly recommend this. And I'm terrible at video games.
Yeah, you're bad. You're
But
bad.
but literally an hour and a half in, I messaged John like, you have to play this game. I really think it's something that you'll fall in love with. I think it's something that genuinely has something for everyone. But it had me think to a larger extent. We're living in this world where the complaints over the last 25 years has been make something new, make something new. And what's interesting about Resident Evil specifically is they keep making something new out of something old.
Yeah,
And
well, the
they
old
haven't-
parts. Like,
Yeah, it's like it's everything is a hit because it's ultimately kind of a remix. And what I love about this one, it propels the story, it nods to the past, it leaves you quite literally wanting almost a third installment. And this is the first direct sequel Resident Evil's ever produced. So what it left me wondering is, could something like Marvel just keep going forward, keep punching forward? You talked famously about the reroute, and it is, at this point, it is famous because we're seeing people do it, and it's damn brilliant. You know, Green Knight, the Green Knight trailer blew my socks off, and if you haven't checked that out,
check that out.
check that out.
Did we posted it, right?
I don't think we did. I don't think we did.
Shame
we'll
on
remedy
us.
that tomorrow. But what my question I'm going to throw your way is the balls of Resident Evil. Can it work elsewhere? Resident Evil has never doubled back and be like, pretend that Resident Evil 6 didn't happen, where Chris Redfield punches a boulder to save the day. They acknowledge it. They own it. They're like, fucking boulder, punch an idiot. They have taken
The next game, he just has a cast on the whole fucking rest of the game.
yeah, we see that, you know, something like DC is now frantically trying to figure out how do we right the ship. And myself personally, I've been like, don't fucking try. Just start again, please. Throw out the good with the bad because there's just too much fat on the bone. Do you think that more properties could continue the story and not specifically reroute it, not a Rocky to Creed scenario, but when we get this next Rocky, is there a way to tell that story different that's still worthwhile? Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I think I understand what you're asking. You know, it's not a universal answer though. That's kind of like my half-ass reply is that
It's a very political answer.
but it's also true. You know, sometimes the easy route is also the only route, because when you, if you're gonna renovate a home, right, you want to buy the shittiest house on the block and renovate the bejesus out of it, and now all of a sudden your property values are tremendous and you have the nicest house on a great block. But they always say the same thing: you can't do anything unless that house has good bones, right? That's the term that gets thrown around. And I think the exact same thing has to do when you're talking about whether it's video game properties, when you're talking about movie franchises like we were talking about last week, or like, you know, some of these ongoing series, because, you know, we're seeing that now. You know, the Marvel Netflix shows, you're now going to get those same characters potentially in ongoing different series, like Punishers. They're talking about Punisher having his own series, but it's just the same fucking actor.
Yeah.
You got Shane from Walking Dead, but you know what? Everything that you saw prior, just forget about all that. So that they are doing what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Um,
I will never forget about the Russian. And the real Thomas Jane Punisher.
I don't think. What'd you say? I don't think that you necessarily ever have to do that, because if you look at both DC and Marvel, and I was just talking to Mercasa Vera about this today, the ongoing text thread. DC and Marvel, and this is a topic that I want to do, they have ripped each other off so consistently and for so long that at this point, it's not even like, no, it's not surprising. Yeah, duh. Nobody even gets mad. Sometimes they're like, "Oh, you stole that shit. Yeah, yours is better. Good job. Good on you." But they borrow from each other. Let's be polite. So often that people don't even think about it anymore, and they're doing it now. It's 2021, where you can do you can make a better movie than Fantastic Four on your fucking phone, and I'm attempting to, but even so, they're like, "Oh, you're doing what?" Somebody's like, "Oh, you're doing what now again? Huh, that's a pretty good idea. I'm going to do that shit too." So now you have both DC and Marvel are saying, "Look, this is the new. We're going to do some shit where we're going to gather up all the old stuff, all the old crap that we have thrown out there for general consumption, and we're going to cherry pick just the best stuff. And we're going to make it make sense." And Marvel's doing it with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And DC is doing it with Flash, just running around. I just read today about they're shooting at the actual house, the stand-in for stately Wayne Manor, the one that's actually still standing. And we know that Keaton is a cast member. So we know what's happening right now. So both DC and Marvel are taking advantage of their shared multiverse, multi-earth, whatever the fuck, infinity, whatever. And they're saying like, look, this is how we're going to do it. And Charlie, you and I puzzled over this. Like, how do you keep the best, keep the stuff that you like, and like, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. They like to say on Deadwood. They also say cocksucker a lot, but we're going to keep this somewhat PG-13. So I think that video games absolutely can do something similar. They should be a little bit more fucking creative. Like, I don't know, call up John and Charlie over at US Comics. We got some solutions for you. I will tell you how.
So
Charlie,
easy.
did I not come to you with a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game? Like, the ideas are out there. So yes, that's my long answer. My short answer is yes. I do think that you can salvage the best, while if not ignoring the worst, at least saying like, look, this kind of sucked. Just like the third Rivera brother that never makes it on screen is locked in mom's basement someplace, all emaciated and smelly. Sometimes you just take the crap and you shove it in the basement. And then you're like, whatever. At some point, we'll let them up.
We used up all the Rivera ego possible with these two vessels.
Nothing left. There's nothing left.
What's awesome though is like the cheating answer that I had in my back pocket was Star Wars has been doing it. They've been turning chicken salad into chicken shit and then back again for decades now.
Let's take these beaks out. Nobody wants the beaks.
And no offense to any of the actors, but like Anakin as a character, if it's just the prequel movies, and that's what I'm basing Anakin Skywalker on, sucks. But then they did the animated movie and the animated series, and now we have Bad Batch, and they're all taking place kind of in this timeline. And Mandalorian ignited this love in Star Wars for me that we've discussed before. I've never had beyond this ship looks cool, that movie's fun as hell.
But you need a Dave Filoni type. That's the key, right? So none of this happens without, as you said, look, this is the Mutual Admiration Society today. I'm not happy with this episode at all. As you famously said, Charlie, I'll give you credit. Credit where credit's due. You need someone with love for the property. You like, I'm sorry, like if you are expected to breathe new life into something, don't expect me to go down and wrap my lips and do CPR and everything needs to get done to the property. If I'm like, I fucking hate this property, good, let it die in the pool. I don't give a shit. Specs, you're gonna drown, my brother. If you're waiting for me to kiss you to life, Specs, you are gonna die, and I'll give anybody credit who gets that reference. I think you need a Dave Filoni if you want to salvage Star Wars from the road that it was headed down, and now it's in as good a place as it had been since maybe 1977 when the fucking original came out.
Not to completely derail the show, but you're killing me, Smalls. I want points for knowing the reference.
You're
If
not
you
allowed
know-
points, bro.
if
You're
you
not
know
allowed
the
points. You're a
answer,
co-host.
throw it in the comment section or share it with your answer. Prove you're smarter than all your friends. What's you bring up an interesting aspect though, because sometimes
What I do.
creators and sometimes people just run out of steam, and then it's the best
Get a
bet.
new job.
It's a best bet, but yeah, let someone else raise
Yes,
your
yes,
baby.
be
And
like, look, enough.
it seems right now like there's a big question when it comes to that and creators. Because again, another guy I worship at the altar at, Robert Kirkman, well, you as well. Robert Kirkman ended Invincible, the comic, ended the Walking Dead comic, because he said in an interview he couldn't imagine 15 years from now picking
Walking
up
Dead,
an
yeah.
Invincible comic and seeing someone butcher it. But the opposite is true too. I was denied more Invincible because he ran out of steam, but I didn't. So if I knew him, maybe there was an opportunity to pass that baton, because you talk about a Filoni, or if you even talk about in regards to Star Wars, who has a few different people taking chunks of it and making they're spinning gold with it. Favreau being such having such a hand and such a vision for Mandalorian has brought people back
It's
from
true.
the brink of it. Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks brought me back to loving wrestling, and I didn't give up on it.
Market guys 4650. This marks the longest Charlie has gone an episode without trying to make it about wrestling. Well done, Charlie. You're like on a program or something. Good job, man. I'm proud of you.
I just feel like the key is, how do you love something forever? And in some cases, you can't. I don't want George Lucas.
Period. End of sentence.
Yeah, sorry, buddy. At some point, he was holding way too tightly onto it. And as a want to be a creator, I would like to imagine a world where there are characters I've had a hand in creating, or characters I've brought to you for US Comics that I love so much, I can't imagine running out of steam for them. But if that day ever came, I would hope I would be able to hand it off to be remixed and keep going and not need a reboot, right?
Well, here's the thing, Charlie, and not to put too fine a point on it for you.
Yeah, please.
But the fact of the matter is, like, when that time has come, you know about it. There's no secrets in the entertainment world, whether it's video games, whether it's movies, whether it's books, comics, TV shows, whatever the case might be. If you have a creator who's like, I made this and I birthed this idea and I carried it around for 9 months and I didn't drink any coffee or eat any sushi and I didn't drink or smoke, and I'm gonna raise it and I'm gonna always decide what's best. No, you're not, because ultimately, if and this is an if, because nothing truly great lasts forever. I'm sorry to be a fucking bummer, but that's the truth of it. At some point,
got that T-virus, bitch.
When a misstep is had, it's not going to be a secret. Either people are going to stop showing up, people are going to stop throwing their shekels your way, the reviews are going to be universally boo, and you can't sit there and look in the mirror and be like, I still know what's best for fucking whomever, for Resident Evil or for Walking Dead or even for US Comics. If the point comes, we're like, look, great idea, but you don't know what the fuck you're doing anymore, that's the time to hand it off. So bottom line, I think every creator is always going to come to that point where they have to make a decision, either kill it or hand it off, because one way or the other, it's over for you, son.
It's a common theme, but for me, it's always like, give me more than I want. I'd rather it fizzle out than stop before
your eyes are too bigger than your belly, son. That's what happens.
Impossible. Look at this belly. That was a goal, sir. Let's dance.
Did we just get fired by the Rangers like everybody else?
Only 1-0-0-0 tonight.
I see that shit.
Ladies
they must
and gentlemen,
have fired the sound guy over at the Garden too.
I believe it. This show, my dear brother, would be
Yes.
absolutely impossible without our fine, fine sponsors. John, why
True.
don't you tell the good people watching and listening who we're brought to you by today?
As if they didn't know, right here on Facebook Gaming, it is Sergeant Finesse. 2 streams a day, outstanding gaming content, supporter games, giveaways, contests. Do not be a sucker. I beg you, I plead with you, do not be a sucker. Check them out today. Throw them a like, a follow. Consider becoming a supporter. If you need to pick me up, follow the White Rabbit over to sneakenergy.com. That's a tasty burger. Also, if you're looking for some fresh new gear, go over to geeksunleashed.com. That's right, I said geeksunleashed.com. Use code SARGE at checkout when Sarge is on deck. Yes, salute. GG, son.
You got the videos for your faces. Now you need the music for your ears. And we are also brought to you by one of my absolute favorite bands of all time. And that, of course, is Bad Mary. You can find them on social media over at Bad Mary Band. You can go directly to their website, badmary.com. You can support them financially over on patreon.com/Bad Mary. And my favorite part, every week it's my favorite part because it's true. They're available on every audio streaming service you could imagine.
Can't beat every.
That's absolutely right. Much like this wonderful show. And guys, talking about support, we could not do this show every week without you guys forming the army behind us. All of our social media is over at US Comics HQ. You can follow our link tree to see everything. It's in all of our bios. Very easy to find, but most importantly, hit share, even if it's just a piece of art that you really think is cool. Tell the people so they can join you on these wonderful live
And agree
shows.
with me so people know how to think.
That's true. Well over 100 episodes, so much content that you've missed. And you can hear us a year ago talking about, wouldn't it be amazing if they made a Jupiter's Legacy?
Charlie,
that would be impossible to fail.
I'm about to fucking cancel you and reboot you and reroute you. Son of a
Well,
bitch.
that's before you do all that.
We're bringing out Rivera Brother number 3. You're coming off the bench, buddy.
He is unclean. I'm going to start your time. Tell me when you're ready.
He's like Rivera Brother number 3. If you're blue and you don't know where to go to. All right, so go ahead and start my time because I am salty as fuck.
Oh, shit. Boom. Time has begun, my friend.
Folks.
Uh-oh.
Some people might listen or watch this show and think you guys are getting very adamant about some nonsensical foolishness. What you're talking about is kiddie stuff. You're talking about fictional characters, right? You're getting all worked up. But sometimes you realize, like the old tales of old, right? You sit around the campfire, and we're like barely a caveman. Just everybody got hair down to their tush, loincloth, had a saber-tooth tiger burger for dinner, right? You sit around, and the common methodology of knowledge exchange was in storytelling stories. Nobody likes being in school. Nobody. So if you wrap that up in storytelling, you're able to get across a message, an important lesson, in a way that's both entertaining and yet informing. However, the stories that we talk about are superheroes, spandex-clad freaks, mutants, and monsters. So what in the world does that have any relevance to real-world shenanigans? And I am here to tell you, friends, Romans, and countrymen, that superheroes are real. That's right.
What?
Superheroes are real. And I'm not talking about an M. Night Shyamalan, Shyamalama Ding Dong level of, of storytelling superheroes. Bruce Willis said, don't put me in the water. No, I'm talking about real, actual world superheroes. They exist. And I got to tell you, I've identified one. Basically, I'm Mr. Glass in this scenario. I have identified an actual superhero, and it didn't require me crashing a train or making accidents happen and planes fall out of the sky. No, no, no. All I needed to do was cast my peepers westward. God bless you. Cast my peepers westward over to Hollyweird. There is a superhero amongst us, and he's one of the Hollywood elite. Dare I say, maybe the king of the mountain. And if the aliens do come back to reclaim him, like his religion says that it probably will, I would not be surprised, because at all of 5'4",
No.
Tom
Don't-
Cruise is a
Not everybody.
superhero. Guys, he's a
What?
superhero. Look, I have
He doesn't
stood.
even have the ability to not stand on a box next to a leading lady. What the fuck are
Look,
you talking about?
I am going to go ahead and stand on my box. Hold on a second. I'm going to stand on my box, and I've done it before, and I have lauded the Cruise about how, like, he takes a lot of shit. Yeah, he jumps up on the couch every once in a while, embarrasses Oprah, does some stuff. However, in this day and age, this is the guy. This is as close as I've ever had in my lifetime to those golden age Hollywood stars. He is a Hollywood star, and I've already gone ahead and talked about his IMDb page. You cannot go down his IMDb page and get 2 clunkers in a row. It doesn't happen. Come at me any day of the week. I will fist fight you in the streets over my boy Tom Cruise, because I feel the need for speed. And in these real world tear-inducing scenarios that we have right now, when the Hollywood foreign press is getting shade thrown their way for their obvious lack of diversity, all of those voters, not a single face of color, and that entire pool, something's wrong. So for anyone who doesn't know, I'm talking about the Hollywood Foreign Press, the givers of the annual Golden Globe Awards. They currently and rightfully they're under fire for their disgusting lack of diversity. Again, we don't want to get political, but that's what's happening.
So white, son.
That's what's happening right now, and to the point where NBC, where typically is where the award show is shown, is like, nah, I'm good, son. NBC is not showing the 2021 Golden Globes award ceremony, and just that was enough to really kind of catch my attention.
Yeah.
Recently, I'm like, oh, snappy nappy. Never mind the fact
that's like
that
the 18th, 19th most important award show that's on TV.
Listen, it's a big one, bro. When we win one, it's gonna be in the background. Don't get me wrong. But that being said, everything that's happening and award shows have kind of been taking a little bit of a beating. Their ratings are dropping, but fucking, baseball ratings are dropping and football ratings dropping. Like, that's just happened. People have more stuff to watch. There's more to go around. So I don't give really that any credence, but to have NBC say, no, we're not going to show it, that was like really something. There were a lot of voices that had plenty to say about the subject. But when my man, 5'2", eyes of blue,
man of action,
Tom Cruise, do my own stunts, jump across a fucking building in Dubai, shatter my leg into a billion pieces, take like 5 minutes. You're like, nah, I'm good. Don't shave that mustache, son. I'm going to heal this up real quick. Tom Cruise took it to the next level. And Charlie, I stand by this, and I'll do so until Top Gun 2 comes out. Tom Cruise is a superhero because he doesn't just talk the talk. He walks the walk. And with those tiny little legs, that is really doing something.
Took him forever to walk down there.
He said, NBC, hold my beer. I'm giving my Golden Globes back. He gave them back, son. He said, you know what? Take your fucking globes and your lack of diversity and kick rocks. He gave him back. So again, Tom Cruise, he had one.
Are you aware how
Um,
hard that is though? Because he had to put each of them like in a little pouch, and he had to come down in like a laser grid and shit. And he couldn't sweat, and he had
but
to put the globes back where they came from.
he did have a
Shit.
dope soundtrack and good
Limp Bizkit was in the
choreography.
background.
So Tom, I'm just reading this really quickly. I don't have his CV memorized. So he won in 1990 for Born on the 4th of July. If you haven't seen it, shame on you. He won in 97 for Jerry Maguire. Show him the money. And in 2000, he won for Magnolia for Best Supporting Actor, which, if you have Tom Cruise as a supporting role, the movie's got to be pretty good.
Well, you know, my online
Three.
moniker is Magnolia fan.
3 Golden Globes. He said, "Take him back. I'm a superhero. I don't need him." And these current current ongoings actually had dusted off some stuff that I had actually forgotten because not early, but relatively earlier in the pandemic story that the whole world was sharing at the same time. There was a story and actual audio of
Oh,
Tom
yeah.
Cruise fucking
Losing his shit.
berating. He lost his tiny little talented shit on specific individual several crew members who were working on the current movie that he was working on. They had special, they had a special allowance to keep on working where they were working because that was the point in the crisis where kind of every place had different rules and regulations. And there were crew members who were like, fuck that, not wearing masks, doing this. And my guy, look, he could easily go into his hyperbaric chamber of a trailer, talk to Zuzu up in space, like do the Scientology calculator and figure some shit out. He's fine. Tom Cruise doesn't need you. Tom Cruise is gonna be just fine. They're gonna bring him a few wives. Whatever they gotta do, they're gonna do. Tom Cruise is good. He's cool. But because these mother suckers, they went and put everybody else's, not just their livelihood, their wallet in jeopardy, but their very fucking lives.
Yeah.
He read them the riot act. And I gotta say this, it was so good and so spot on that people, because they're just salty, sad, soggy bitches, they were like, that's not real. Why isn't that real? Because it's too on point, because it's too true, because it's too heartfelt. That's what's not true. Fuck you. F. Murray Abraham to you, sir. Tom Cruise is the fucking man. I don't care what he can make. Magnolia 2 and 3. I will go. This is the type of guy I will always support. He is a super hero.
He if nothing else,
Cheers, Tom.
Levels of super heroism being debatable aside, what was really interesting is the cool thing about that story when he was reading people the riot act. It wasn't about like, he didn't even say like, I believe in the mask. He's like, they're gonna fucking shut us down, and all of you guys, not me, Tom Cruise money's gonna be all right. I got plenty of shit I can jump off. Every girl he's inside of, he has to climb up. That shit's a stunt in and of itself. And you know he don't use wires. He's not a chump. He's hanging on the side of Lady Dimitrescu from fucking Resident Evil, climbing up to those fucking milk jugs. The fact that he seemingly is, relatively speaking, a lot of the times thinking 3 or 4 steps ahead. Of just like, we can't get shut down. We need to bang this out because then I got another Mission Impossible. Then I'm going to ruin another Universal Monster movie by having a bunch of notes.
Not his fault.
I mean, a little bit his fault. He like insisted he was the main character.
He didn't write that shit.
He kind of did. But what's interesting about it is in these moments, the Hollywood bullshit machine, which I think a lot of us are very aware of, there's a lot of people who work with a lot of people who they know were fucking scumbags. And maybe 10 years ago, it was just common practice. And I can't say that I necessarily throw out shit I love. I'm going to still watch Firefly. I don't have to support certain people behind it. With that being said, Tom Cruise clearly is a guy who has incredible values. And then on top of it, he'll put himself out there in both extremes. We make fun of him jumping up and down on the couch,
You do.
but I don't. Like, not to get overly out of character, I guess. That's one of those moments that I'm like, yeah, I've been in manic phases of life before. I'm in one every episode.
5 minutes before the show.
There's a certain level of, again, you talk about accountability for oneself. The next level of that, the way you get the extra Zenites or whatever the fuck. You're a Scientologist now, obviously, so I guess you'll explain it to me later.
They're midichlorians. Get it right.
Fair enough. The way you get those extra midichlorians is by pushing it forward. It goes from, how do I make sure my shit's good? How do I make sure John's shit's good? How do I make sure everyone else is good? And something as goofy and symbolic, award shows inherently are bullshit. It's Hollywood patting themselves on the back. It's still something, though. I have a fucking hard time giving back participation trophies. And I'm not, fucking...
Charlie's not giving back the Carnival Cruise Line awards that he straight up
cheated
to get.
You just
and
take
he was
two
like
answer sheets.
Crossing the stage. I'm cheating. Can I get one of these awards for best cheater on a week-long cruise or longer?
If you're not cheating, you're not trying, baby. Fucking Eddie's my homeboy. But I hope people follow suit. You'll fuck the Golden Globes. We don't need that.
Look, it's not even about that. And this is where I do want to say, like, especially here, I'll just speak for myself because I don't want to rope Charlie in case anybody's particularly angry about it. Not to get political, ultimately, people are gonna have their own opinions about literally every fucking subject in the world. When's the last time you said, "Hey, what do you think about this or that?" People are like, I don't know much about it to have an opinion. It's like you never fucking hear that. People are always like, "Well, I got something to say."
Yeah, but you're busy filling up 35 gas containers.
It doesn't. I mean, but here's even that. Like, if you wanted to be a debate club president, you could defend that action. I personally couldn't, or wouldn't, I should say, but I could. Why not? I could do it. I could be a fucking, I could do some pro bono work for those dum-dums. But that being said, it's not even about like what side of the particular line in the sand, which doesn't exist, that you line up on. It's when somebody has the heart. Right, that's the term I'm going to use. Tom Cruise has heart, right? He says, "This is what I think. These are my opinions." Fine, everybody's got those. Then he further says, "Comma, and this is what I'm going to do about it." That's the difference. That's the difference. That's what makes a difference between a bystander and a fucking headline. That's what makes a difference between a secret identity and a fucking cape swirling behind your back, underwear on the outside. Yeah, maybe you got to stand on a box to get next to nose to the leading lady, but so be it, because Mighty Mouse was a fucking hero too, Charlie. That doesn't make a difference if he's tiny piney. All right,
I'm not saying that Tom Cruise is too small. I'm saying everyone else is too big. That's the problem. And all of our teeth are crooked because one is on each side.
Everybody knows the aliens want one tooth in the middle, so they know, like, they could draw the line down your face when they dissect us to eat us, because that's what they're gonna do, right? We're like chattel. Is that? Anyway, I'd be okay with it either way.
I can't imagine the pressure to play devil's advocate. A fantastic Keanu Reeves feature.
It was a movie.
I'll kill you dead.
It was a movie.
Imagine the intense pressure of being, like, not untouchable in Hollywood, but already being a figure who's occasionally, quote unquote, taken to task. Someone who's part of the zeitgeist of pop culture. People make fun of him. It's an easy thing to do, to put yourself out there with any sort of statement. You'll fuck the Golden Globes.
If you put yourself out there, you open yourself up to ridicule. So
Yeah.
that's another mark of heroism. Thank you for bringing that one up.
You're very welcome. It especially at that level. He already has people looking for reasons to hate him, and now some of the people who maybe blindly support him also will use this as like I'm sure someone's accused him of virtue signaling. Like you can't ever win. Like
They
so
they
then it's choosing your
they just
path
did that
honestly
and
as possible.
it was an Empire magazine article where he had to defend the action of like taking these crew members to task for doing the wrong fucking thing. And that's the joke of it all, right? This would be like the equivalency of Superman Superman breaks a branch on the tree in order to get the kitten down, and the little girl's crying bitter tears. He's like, "Here's your kitten," right? The proverbial save a kitten from the tree story. And they were like, "Yo, Superman, you broke my fucking tree branch, man. I'm gonna sue you." That's the example.
Yeah.
So no one can argue. I'm sorry, it doesn't make a difference if you are a COVID denier, or if you're like people overreact, or that these mandates that are put in place are right or wrong. That's irrelevant to the fact. Have your opinion. God bless you. You're welcome to it. I also don't have to agree or disagree with it. That's a separate thing completely. But when the rules were put in place and they said, look, follow these rules or we're shutting down production, and production involves not just one person or the cast or even the cast and crew. It literally involves hundreds of people's lives, their livelihoods, their families. So it's one of those like outbreak monkey in the movie theater scenarios where like this person, each one of these person is like four, and those four people, like
Yeah.
every action has an effect. So for somebody to stand there and say, no, Tom Cruise was wrong to yell at these people. He was punching down.
I'll never live
He's
in that
5'4". He's always punching up. Always. That's my point, Charlie. Is like people who are audacious enough to say something like that. That for me is the thank you. Thank you for putting out the entire season and not keeping me around week to week, because I can say, boop, I can turn you off now. You have clearly nothing of value for me. But just again, I don't want my time to expire without making my ultimate point. Whether you agree with his politics or with his standing up for what's right or not, whether you even agree if he's actually a superhero or maybe he's a mutant, like maybe Xavier had him in class and he ditched, like the Outsiders. He's like, nah, man, forget you, buddy. You're square. You can't deny that my man is a straight hit maker. I'm just gonna run it down real quickly, Charlie,
It.
because you had that look.
Wait. I'll do the thumbs up, thumbs down for it.
All right. Well, but the only issue is if you have to keep your Caesarean thumb steady if you haven't seen the flick. All right.
Fair enough.
We're going to go ahead and, magoof. I'm just going to start the most recent and work our way down.
Fair enough.
All right. I'm not talking about the ones in pre-production. We're not talking about the ones that are filming that we know for a fact are going to be bangers, like Mission Impossible 8, Mission Impossible 7, Top Gun Maverick. Actually, that's in the can. So Mission Impossible Fallout. Banger. American Made, based on a true story. What are you talking about? See, this is where we're gonna get to a fight. You're one of those guys now. Turn the thumb the right way up. You know what's up. Did you even see the flick?
I didn't.
You're a fucking asshole. You're fired. American Made, Dynamite, true story. Airline pilot. He ended up getting wrapped up with the CIA, also with the fucking drug dealers. Noriega, arms dealing. It's a great fucking flick, and it's a great story. I'm just gonna jump over The Mummy because I know that you weren't a fan of that. Jack Reacher, Never Go Back. Jack Reacher,
not for me.
What?
See, not for me.
Whatever. Thumbs up.
I kept hoping it was going to be a Mission Impossible movie.
Edge of Tomorrow.
I like Edge
Obviously, of Tomorrow. Everyone does. Oblivion, Jack Reacher, even Rock of Ages. I'm going to give it to him. Mission
What?
Impossible, Ghost
His
Protocol,
singing is the third
Night
worst
and
thing.
Day, Valkyrie, Tropic Thunder, Lions for Lambs, Mission Impossible 3, War of the Worlds, Collateral, The Last Samurai, not the second to last samurai. Charlie, come on. How do I get this thing off the screen? Minority Report, Vanilla Sky, Mission Impossible 2, Magnolia, Eyes Wide Shut, Jerry Maguire, Mission Impossible 1, Interview with the Vampire, The Firm, A Few Good Men, Far and Away, Days and Thunder, Born on the 4th of July, Rain Man, Cocktail, The Color of Money, Top Gun, Legend, Ooh, Darkness, Do You See Me? All the Right Moves, Risky Business, Losing It, The Outsiders, Taps, and Endless Fucking Love. You can't deny it. The man is a hit maker. Yeah, James, you're right. There's a few stinkers on there. A few. But if you do the math, his percentages are higher than anybody that you want to throw my way. Line him up. Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Tom Cruise's career. Never mind the fact that he does the do and walks the walk. I'll put his career against anybody. Does the do, son. Cheers, motherfucker. Tom, this for you.
That enthused. So when did you actually take the Scientology test? Like, because
I got an F plus. F plus.
The argument from the chat is Tom Hanks.
Look, we can go against Tom. We can go against Tom Hanks. Let's
Tom
v.
Tom. Martha.
All right. Because just for Lady Killers itself, we can cross Tom Cruise off. But Tom Hanks.
First of all, what is the? Yes. We'd have to go worst for worst.
No, according to who? What Mortal Kombat rules is that?
Well, much like the most recent movie, the rules don't really matter.
Well,
we're gonna have a 10th tournament, but I'm just gonna show up. You know, I think what it comes down to is someone like Tom Cruise has to go down in the history books as a contender for the GOAT. Like, just there. You look at,
and I'm not talking about like every feature of his is like gonna be up for awards, whether he gives them back or not. That's beside the point. I'm talking about like just purely like, oh, this is on. I'm gonna sit down. Like, have you ever just like clicked past Days of Thunder?
No.
Who's done it? Like, what are you talking about?
You have to
break.
You have to be a real fool.
You're like, oh, pizza's in the fridge. I'll have some of that. Tom Cruise's pizza, damn it.
He's very specific. Like, the pizza has a weird message, but it is delicious. I'll give you that. And like, I personally just love the variety. Like, for me, there's a couple missing pieces. And Tom Cruise is crazy too, because like he refuses, and I don't know if this is a part of Scientology, he doesn't let the little action figures of Tom Cruise get made. It's in all of his contracts. You can't do it.
Well, because they're always going to be like the tiny Ewok size, and you know the ratios are going to be off for the other figures.
I wish he went the Vin Diesel route, where like all of Tom Cruise's action figures were like swole up. Like, damn, Vin Diesel.
Like Vin, you've got like a full luscious head of long hair on this one. He's like, yeah,
that's what my hair looks like. I am Groot. Oh man. And there's also like a very, like, Tom Cruise is one of those people that even if you wound up hating him, because again, everyone has their own experience, I feel like Tom Cruise, the first week you know Tom Cruise, Tom is probably calling you up at 7 just to be like, hey, John, last night was a real good time. Be like, Tom, what are you doing? Be like, I'm on my 38th mile running up this mountain.
Tom can slide into my DMs anytime he wants, bro.
Damn, John. It's like that? It's a lonely road, but it's a Tom Cruise.
Whatever, bro. Whatever's whatever. I told you he'd do the do.
You just see John. You're doing the Henry Cavill like arm snap in the next Mission Impossible. Just John, keep your mustache.
I can pull it off.
I can imagine that.
I rock the mustache too, Tom. Don't worry about it. You're not gonna hear any CGI bullshit from me. Charles like, oh, we got a CGI, no mustache for the next show.
What would be the conflicting character that you would like happily ruin because of a loyalty to Tom? Like, Henry Cavill had no choice. A contract is a contract is a contract.
Yeah.
But if you were playing like the Submariner, you're like, fuck you. I have a mustache just in case Tom Cruise calls. Like,
Well, see that's an unfair question because I can grow much like yourself. I can grow facial
you
hair at
wouldn't even tell
will.
them. You just,
Yeah, yeah. It would be like the Play-Doh barber set, where like you just jam the Play-Doh into the little figure, slide them onto the chair, and like crack, 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 and then just Play-Doh hair just starts coming out of all the holes.
amazing. Now, are you gonna give? Does anyone else get credit if they give back their Golden Globes now, or did Tom ruin it? Like, don't even tell people. Just send them back. Like, what is the etiquette to follow the leader? Like, do you just
I
like
don't know. It is tough. It
do you
is
just
tough.
finally pull off the foil and you eat the chocolate so there's no evidence?
It's actually, believe it or not, it's not actually chocolate in those
What?
things, which is a ripoff. My favorite fact about these award shows, period, and you mentioned yourself, they're largely bullshit because again, it's the industry is patting themselves on the back, and as we just recently saw, like where everyone was expecting the best actor Oscar was like predetermined. Like everybody knew where it was going, and then it didn't.
Yeah.
So like the awards, they're pretty much
I just
bullshit.
love when there's like
But
makeup. They're like best actor in a musical, Sam Jackson for Avengers. You're like, what?
like, you mean The Martian winning for best comedy? Like
Yeah.
those potatoes were fucking hilarious. They were grown in shit. Get
He
it?
like yeah,
It was a
like
comedy.
he felt like there was no chance and barely held on to his sanity. Big bitch, that's Charlie's fucking autobiography one day. It's just every day being the worst potato day ever. My potatoes are frozen. What do you our comment section had a fantastic drop. They just imagined outside of the Golden Globes office, just a giant pile of like
Just a big
dented,
pile.
pissed on fucking Golden
Yeah.
Globes. What do you think is the pinnacle for the haters out there?
Yeah.
What is the Tom Cruise performance that you think is undeniable?
Again, I mean, like to me, they're all winners. Like, truly, like, and this, I'm happy to admit, Tom Cruise has been in some less than stellar movies. Like, if you put up against the definition of the term, like, this is what a good movie.
Yeah.
I'm talking about just enjoyable. Like, I enjoyed it. Like, it was fun to me. I had a good time. A
Yeah.
good time was had by all. Those situations. I mean, I
Like,
just
for me,
I ran down
can't-
the list. So.
I can't imagine anyone watching Tropic Thunder and not loving him a little.
Well,
Like, to
yeah,
just
but
put in
also
that
that was
ridiculous
so
performance.
far. That was so far away from what people thought they knew about him as an actor. But what he does so well is like these action stories that are not just like a slew of like special effects or tricks or stunts or what have you. And again, like we talked about it, we even kind of made a joke about it. The man does his own fucking stunts. He doesn't have to do that shit.
Yeah.
Jackie Chan made a legend out of his own name by doing the same thing. Now, I am not saying that the Jackie Chan level of stunts are the same as Tom Cruise, but I mean, like, he shattered his leg jumping across a fucking yawning gape of buildings. And then like we watched it, like this is the scene where he destroys his leg.
Fun fact, you can
Popcorn in
actually
my face.
you can see his legs spin around 3 times backwards if you hit the
Unbelievable.
pause right at the Yeah.
Charlie, cut that movie off quick.
Tom Cruise for the win. Bare minimum, the guys put a smile on my face way more often. But talking about smiles on my face,
Always.
you beautiful people listening or watching at home can do the same. Hit the share button, spam the like button and the love button, share it with a friend, with families. If you're watching with someone right now, have them take out their phone and listen to an old episode.
Put on a Tom Cruise movie, have us playing in the background, and like the bejesus out of it.
It's the most fun. Plus, fun fact, it really builds up the muscles you need for when you're fucking around with Resident Evil Village and you're about to pee your little pantaloons.
Just a bit.
John,
Word.
if nothing else, guys, make sure you follow us on all of our social media. It's over at US Comics HQ on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, all over the damn place. But my dear brother, there is only one way that we end this and every episode of US Comics Cast. Why don't you tell the beautiful people how that is?
It is so simple. First, you got to turn the power boop on. You got to turn the volume up. Tune bed, Marion. Bitty, 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 bitty. Open up the window wide and scream out into the night sky. Save me, Space Girl. We out.